Welcome to today's podcast where Samsung is the main talk for today. Thanks for joining me in the neXup in Tech. I am your host, PC747. So today, again, the big topic for the podcast today is Samsung. They had that big event, Unpacked, on Wednesday, and they unveiled a number of products out there. And some of what we're going to talk about. They kicked off talking about their Samsung Galaxy Fold, something I'm going to talk about more later. But the phone or the device that you guys are going to really care about now is going to be the phone. So let's go ahead and jump into that, the Samsung Galaxy S10. So the S10 is going to be pretty much three devices this year. S10e, S10, and S10 Plus. And it's meant to compete pretty much with the iPhone. The iPhone XR is the cheaper version of the iPhone, and that's pretty much what you got with the Galaxy S10e. Then you got your standard version, the S10, which will compete with the iPhone XS. And then you got your Galaxy S10 Plus to compete with the iPhone XS Max. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about that really stood out about these devices, particularly the S10 and the S10 Plus. First, the fingerprint sensor, the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. That thing is awesome. I saw a review that Flossie Carter did. Actually, I saw this morning where he was playing around with a review unit and just seeing how fast that thing unlocked. I'm like, this may be the new king as far as fingerprint scanners, or as far as in-glass fingerprint scanners, with the speed at which this thing was unlocking. Now we'll have to see if the retail units actually respond as fluidly as the one that he had. But if it does, kudos to Samsung. We've been waiting for the past couple of years for these guys to actually include that in their phones. I remember 2 years ago there was talk about the companies wanting to bring that out there, and we expected Samsung to be one of the first ones to do that, and they weren't, and they may have had their reason. Obviously, they wanted to get it right. And looking at what they did with this one, it looked like they did get it right. So I look forward to seeing how well this continues to work and how well they're able to continue to improve it. The other thing is the reverse wireless charging. Pretty much what they showed on the press conference was you can use this reverse wireless charging to either charge up another phone wirelessly or to charge up the Galaxy earbuds, which something that they're wanting to really get customers to take advantage of and include that with their phones. In fact, something I'm going to talk about a little bit earlier or later will be that if you buy a Samsung Galaxy S10 or S10 Plus on Samsung right now, they're throwing in some Galaxy Buds. So that's $130 value right there if you want to jump on that. And the last thing that, I want to talk about before I really highlight, each individual phone that they pretty much share is, the hole punch. A lot of talk about this hole punch display that they had, early on where people were first kind of taking a look at it. There was some criticism on how it's going to look. But, seeing it as far as looking at a couple of YouTube reviews played around with it, it didn't look that bad. I can see, this really not being a problem and people forgetting about that hole punch being there. In fact, I kind of prefer it to the notch display. So I kind of like that Samsung took a different approach with it as far as finding a way to go full display or more or close to full display and not copying what everybody else did out there by going with the notch. They did their own thing with the hole punch, and yeah, I like what they did there. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the difference that we're looking at, whether you decide to go with the S10, the S10 Plus, or the S10e. And basically the idea is to really capitalize on the price value here, depending on where you stand as far as what you want to pay for a phone. So I'm going on the Samsung site right here, and if you decide to go with the S10e, you're going to go get a 5.8 inch display. Now, unlike the S10 or 10 and S10 Plus is not going to be as bezel-less as the other ones. You're going to have a little bit more bezel there. It's not going to be where it's almost full display. Another difference here between the two or three will be, unlike the S10, S10 Plus, this phone will not have an in-glass fingerprint scanner. They decided to go ahead and put their fingerprint scanner on this one on a power button, which some people may actually like that. Now the S10 will have a 6.1 inch display and the S10 Plus will have a 6.4 inch display. As far as the cameras go, the S10e will have only one 10 megapixel front selfie camera, and the S10 as well, whereas the S10 Plus will have two. One being, again, is the 10 megapixel selfie camera, and the other being the 8 megapixel depth camera. As far as rear cameras, the S10e will have two, being the 12 megapixel wide angle camera and the 16 megapixel ultra camera. The S10 will have a 12 megapixel telephoto camera, a 12 megapixel wide angle camera, and a 16 megapixel ultra camera. Same being with the S10 Plus. So if you go with the S10, S10 Plus, you have three rear cameras as opposed to two on the S10e. Continue on down looking at the website here. Now I'm just highlighting just the main differences. So as far as the battery life, on the S10e, you're looking at a 31 milliamp hour battery. The S10 will be 3400 and the S10 Plus being 4100, which makes sense. The S10, S10 Plus having bigger displays, so you're going to need that extra battery power. And as far as the versions you can buy these in, for the S10e, you can get the 6 gigabyte RAM version with 128 gigabytes of internal storage. Then you got the 8 gigabyte model with 256 gigabytes of internal storage. S10 has 8 gigabyte RAM, 128 gigabyte internal storage, and then the 8 gigabyte RAM, 512 gigabyte internal storage. And then on the S10 Plus, you actually got three options here. 8 gigabytes of RAM with a 128 gigabyte internal storage. Second being the 8 gigabytes of RAM with 512 gigabyte storage, or what I call the bossed out version, being 12 gigabytes of RAM with 1 terabyte internal storage. So if you get something there right there, you can have almost up to 1.5 gigabytes of storage internally if you include the 512 internal SD card or micro SD card that you can buy this thing up to. All will come with Android Pie 9.0. As far as audio, you're looking at better audio on all of them, and then that's pretty much the main thing that needs to be highlighted. As far as colors, all will come in Prism White, Prism Black, Prism Green, and Prism Blue. But if you decide to go with the S10e, you have another color option being with Canary Yellow. And the Galaxy S10 Plus have two color options for the bossed out version. So if you go with the Galaxy S10 bossed out version, you're looking at ceramic white and ceramic black. Now let's go ahead and look at how much this thing is going to cost you guys. Now again, if you're someone looking to save money, you're probably going to gravitate more towards the S10e. So if you go that route, you're looking at, for the 128 gigabyte version, or the entry level being at $750, the maxed out level being the 256 gigabyte model coming in at $850. Now, if you go with the S10, again, this, as of now, looking at the site, if you do go that route, you do get a free pair of earbuds if you buy this through Samsung. And their entry level device will cost you pretty much $900, which is the 128 gigabyte model. But if you decide to go with the maxed out model for the S10, which is the 512 gigabyte version, you're looking at $1,250. Now let's go to the S10 Plus here. So for their entry level, which is the 128 gigabyte model, you're looking at $1,000. If you decide to go with their 512 gigabyte model, you're looking at $1,250. But if you want to go with the bossed out version, you're looking at $1,600. So that's what we're looking at as far as these phones are concerned. Now, if you're a customer out there and you're wanting to know, is this a phone I should look to upgrade to? Well, if you have the S8, definitely. It's about time for you to go ahead and make the move. Now, I'm not quite saying go with the bossed out version, but I think you can, find something around the S10 or even the S10 Plus that will work out for you. And I don't think this device will, satisfy you as far as being a comparable upgrade. Now, if you on the S9, yes, it is an upgrade over the S9, but right now I feel like you're just chasing hype if that's the route you're going. Now, if you just, hey, look, I got the S9. I really want this version of the phone. I love what they're doing with the display. It pretty much have all the features I wanted. This is the phone that is for me. Hey, to take advantage of Samsung's program where you can trade in your phone, especially if you kept it in good shape, and yeah, you'll probably get a fair value for the trade-in, and that'll help out with the purchase of a new one. But the thing with a lot of these phones, especially when they first get revealed, is there's a lot of hype behind it. So there's a lot of excitement, and there's this mad push that, man, you gotta get it. But the reality is that technology continues to push the boundaries, and where you feel like this is the device that's for me now, well, you wait tomorrow, you'll have something else that just continues to get better. So, if you're always chasing the hype, you can find yourself, being behind the power curve as far as price-wise. So, yeah, be wise there. If you just bought a phone with the S9 just now, just relax. You're going to have this hype. People going to say this is the best phone ever. And, oh, man, this is so much better than the S9 and does this. At the end of the day, it's still a phone. It's still going to serve the same purposes as your S9 do. You're still going to be able to surf the web. You're still going to be able to surf your YouTube. You're still going to be able to make phone calls. You're good to go. Just, let it calm down. Because, again, like any year, I just remember last year, all the hype that surrounded the S9 and the S9 Plus. And, it got the slow-mo and this. There's all this excitement when it first unveiled. And I remember around the summer, close around the fall, just seeing that same S9 that was hyped up the spring before. Now, it's just, it's the highlight of Cricket phones, or Cricket using it on their promos to get you in their store. But the reality is that, it's like, okay, people have, got tired of that phone by now. It's just a regular phone now. Then, the hype doesn't die down. People kind of waiting to see what's on the horizon for the Pixel and the Note phone. So, yeah, if you just kind of allow the hype to die down, everything will be all right. So if you're in the market for a phone, this is a good upgrade, but I would recommend you go out there and reach for it. Now, real quick, there will be a 5G version of the phone. Personally, now the 5G version, I believe, is going to be $1,000. Last I checked to start, but I don't know about jumping on the 5G bandwagon. Not yet. I don't think there's enough 5G towers out there to really take advantage of it. Being one of the early adopters of LTE, I know the headaches I went with that phone. Having the Thunderbolt, the poor battery life, the issues, not even having Now, to be fair, Verizon did have the towers, so they, at least had the ability to support the phone when it rolled out. But it was just the phone itself, the technology, trying to, get the hardware around LTE. It took a couple of years, and for those who had a Thunderbolt, you remember the headaches that came with it, such as poor battery life and, for the software just being pretty much not there. And, now we to the point now where we've finally understand LTE and we're ready to move on to 5G. And yeah, if you're in an area that have 5G, I don't think you're going to really be able to see or enjoy the full benefits of 5G right now if you bought a 5G phone. Not any or many, or if any of the carriers have 5G ready to be rolled out right now. You have them in small spots, and even the small spots that they have them, some of the early reviews of it, it's not that good. Again, they still have to improve the technology and get it rolled out. So, I'm kind of going to sit out on being one of the early adopters of jumping on a 5G phone. Let's get this technology out there. Let's go ahead and get the towers out there and make sure we have true 5G and not this fake 5G. That AT&T is rolling out to get people to, jump on the hype that it's not really ready to go yet. So just keep that in mind. Now, before I jump on and talk about the Samsung Galaxy Fold, because I have a lot to talk about that, I want to just talk about real quick. There was a couple of other things that was unveiled, such as the Galaxy Fit, which is designed to compete with the Fitbit, the Galaxy Watch, and like I said, the Galaxy Buds, which again is meant to compete with the AirPods. I just want to throw that out there real quick. But let's talk about the main event, or the main thing that really got me excited for this Samsung event. And that was their answer to the folding phones. We kind of saw them hint at it last year when they had their press conference showing something off. And, it wasn't quite ready yet, but you're like, okay, it really got at least me excited to kind of see what they can go with it. And then you had Royal about a couple months ago bring out their version of the folding phone. And I looked at that, I'm like, man, that thing looks sad. And it's like, all right, I mean, let's hope Samsung can bring something better than what Royal did. And man, I saw the thing on the press conference. I'm like, they really did, And as far as specs, I'm just gonna go off their website real quick. Now, they actually pitched the display. The way the display works, in half it's it's 4.6 Super AMOLED, but when you open all the way, it's a 7.3. And basically what it is when you fold it in half, it becomes a phone that you would use like a regular phone. But when you're ready to enjoy it as a tablet, you open it up. As far as pricing or battery life, you're looking at a 4380. Memory, 12 gigabytes of RAM with 512 internal storage, come with Android Pie. And by the way, Google has been working with their software in preparation of these folding design phones. So, looking at it on stage, it looked to work real smooth. So, I was actually surprised on how well it worked. As far as cameras, you're looking at three, one 12 megapixel telephoto, a 12 megapixel wide camera, and a 16 megapixel ultra camera. And then on the front, you have two cameras, one being a 10 megapixel selfie camera and an 8 megapixel depth camera. And then what they're calling the cover camera, I think is a 10 megapixel selfie camera. Now, this thing is pretty much going to be $2,000 when it's all said and done for the entry level device. Now, as far as buying it year one, if you want to be an early adopter, I wouldn't be. This is a nice device to kind of jump on, but for me, I'm kind of want to see this thing tore apart. I want to see reviewers get it in hand and play with it. I want to see Jerry Rig cut this thing open and break it and tear it apart to kind of, really expose where we want to see this thing improve, because this is, again, an entry level device, as far as bringing this folding phone concept to the market and seeing where it can go. And for those who are early adopters, you're going to deal with the issues that come with being an early adopter. And we don't know what those issues are yet. We don't know how well this display is going to handle. We don't know how this battery life is going to handle the load. We don't know just, the bugs that will come with the software until we actually get a chance to use it. And for a lot of people, when you spend $2,000 on a device, this thing need to work flawlessly. And the reality is, I don't think it will. You're going to have problems with this. So keep that in mind. If you're someone wanting to jump on this thing early, expect it to have issues, because it probably will. Now, I like what they did as far as the design, how they designed the hinge to where it looks like it's going to be built to last. But we don't know that until we actually get a chance to, put it to the test. And again, we got people out there that like doing that, like breaking phones, so we can see how long these things can last. Now, as far as the concept, I love it. I love seeing that technology go this route, and I continue to applaud Samsung for being willing to go down this road, and not being so conservative. They're not afraid to take risks. They're not afraid to do what it takes as far as really looking to push innovation. They did that with the Note phone. But the Note 1, people was making fun of them like, oh, look at this phablet phone. This thing is too big. Now you look around, technology has pretty much followed. Now, the size of the Note 1 would be considered small compared to the phones out there now. So they really changed the market and really changed the way smartphones have gone based on the Note 1. And I'm really wanting to see this happen with these folding devices, because it really answers the question or solves the problem that people who want a tablet phone hybrid, because for people who's on the go, that like to consume media, these bigger phones do serve the purpose as far as being a bigger phone, bigger device, but it still is not quite as large as a tablet, especially again when you want to consume media. If you want a treadmill, you want to get a nice little movie, or you like to read books or take notes, just something about having a tablet that makes that a little bit easier and more enjoyable. The problem is carrying that around. If you want to carry around a tablet, you're going to need to keep a backpack or a little tablet case or whatever. So in other words, you got to make an effort to carry this thing around, and whereas a phone, you can just put it in your pocket. And this answers that. You can pretty much take your tablet, fold it, and put it in your pocket, and still use it as a phone. And this is where I'm looking forward to seeing where we can go with this technology. And I want to see what other companies do to respond to this, and to see how they challenge this. I want to see what Apple do to challenge this, not so much trying to give credit to Apple for anything, because, as much as their fan base may give them credit for being innovative and forward thinking, well, the reality is Apple's a lot of times is reactive. They allow companies like Samsung and other companies to take to risks, and they just sit back and just wait and see how that goes and make more calculated risks and decide, okay, if it's working, then we're bringing it to our line of products. But if it don't, we'll let the other companies to go ahead and take the loss on that, which is not a bad idea. I mean, that's actually smart. If again, we need to keep from taking the losses that another company would take if it bombs. But and we had a lot of bombs in the past when it comes to smartphones. For those who remember the 3D phones, that didn't make it too far, as well as a couple others, smartphone designs out there. So it makes sense to want to sit back and wait and see how this goes and see how it plays out. And that's what pretty much Apple going to do. But I look forward to see how Apple's able to take this idea and make an iPad that turns into an iPhone, or what they'll call it, iPhone, or through out there, or iTablet, or Apple Tablet, or Apple Fab. I mean, there's just so many ideas that they can go with it, and I'm definitely want to see Google, finally get the software right and their version of it, because I'm more of a fan of Google software than I am their hardware. As far as their hardware, I mean, they used to be great with it, but they this is for another show to talk about, but they've kind of, I don't know, they've been slacking lately. But I love their software, so I would like to see someone like a Google and make a Pixel folding phone and see how that works out. Especially if, again, we able to get pure Android that works well, and the software around it that just performs flawlessly. For me personally, I prefer the software experience that is that of the Google Pixel, and even the OnePlus 6T right now. That's more stock Android without all of the bells and whistles of a Samsung. Samsung's UI for me just doesn't work for me, but I understand why it works for others. But in general, yeah, I'm loving what Samsung did with this. Again, kudos to them for putting this out there, doing a good job. And I want to see, as we get to Mobile World Congress, supposedly LG's talking about they got an answer for this, and you got other companies out there. I want to see their response to this Galaxy Fold. I want to see what they bring out there, because the more players we have at the table, the more we can see what works and see what doesn't, and grow this into something that works. Because I actually see this being the next evolution of smartphones. 2 or 3 years down the road, I wouldn't be surprised to see this being, the staple device, and something that pretty much everybody want or look to buy, especially for those that love to again read or love to consume media. This may be where they may gravitate to, and definitely for those who travel a lot. So I just love it. So yeah, for the Samsung Galaxy Fold, when I sat there and I looked at it, I thought it was something that's going to change the industry and will change the industry, and I look forward to just following this journey and see where we go here. So that pretty much wraps up the Samsung Unpack event and just my thoughts on it. For me, again, the main thing that stood out for me was the Samsung Galaxy Fold. As far as the Samsung phones, their phones have never really been one that I gravitated to. I look forward every year to seeing what they do with it, because, even though I may not prefer their software, I love what they do to their hardware, and I love the fact that whatever they put out there, it actually end up changing or directing the market as far as smartphones, and it ended up working out better for everybody in general. We saw it with their being the first ones to kind of go more bezel-less, and now we're starting to see more phones do that. As far as software, being one of the first ones doing picture-in-picture, now we start seeing that baked into stock Android. So yeah, I'm loving a lot of the stuff they put out there and how they kind of changed the market, and I want to see just how their phones continue to influence the market going forward with technology, and see how other manufacturers respond and what they do, and hopefully this will encourage Google to get their act together and start making better hardware that be more competitive with the market. But this is PC747 with the neXup.net, or neXup in Tech, actually. And thank you guys for tuning in to today's podcast. And I look forward to reading your thoughts or hearing your thoughts on how you feel about the event. What are your thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy Fold? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Are you going to buy it? Do you see this being the next evolution of smartphones? What are your thoughts on the S10e, the S10, and S10 Plus? Is this the phone that you got to go out there and get? Is this did Samsung really do a good job this year? Or is everybody just all hyped up because they were just glad to see a new Samsung phone? So leave your comments below and have a good day. I'm out.